It's been a tremendous season for our beloved British mummy, Mark Cavendish. Not only did he achieve his much-longed-for 35th Tour de France triumph over the dinosaur Eddie Merckx, and did so totally unchained, but he also cemented his friendship with the Slovenian alien Poggi. And now it looks like he's going to extend his career by another season to continue competing until the age of 40 in the purest white Kenyan style, and thus continuing to enjoy the economic privileges of Netflix, as well as the affection and loyalty of the blindest fans who don't see that this guy has spent his entire career surrounded by doping. And this will, of course, allow him to negotiate with his new friend Lokos Lance for a succulent contract for his podcast on YouTube. However, it hasn't all been good news for Cavendish and his much-doped boss Alexander Vinokourov. Earlier in the year, a 4-year ban for doping with menotropin to coconut oil Lopez was confirmed. And then, mid-year, we discovered that the owner of his sponsor, Italian Trattoria, and close friend of both the English sprinter and the Kazakh military man, Giovanni Battista Iera, well, he was caught mechanically doping in a French amateur race. Before the Tour de France, we also discovered that another cyclist, who was part of Astana in 2021, Andrea Piccolo, well, he was caught with vials of growth hormones at an Italian airport after a trip to Colombia. But today, yes, today we've discovered a new case of doping with EPO Mircera in his development team, precisely involving the future star we'd already warned you about just weeks ago, a man with something special cooking, Ilkhan Dostiyev, a cyclist who, after achieving 0 victories during his under-23 career, in his final year before trying to make the jump to full professionalism, he finished second in the Tour of Rwanda, and second in the Giro del Valle d'Aosta, ahead of the new Spanish monster Pablo Torres. He even won a stage and made things very difficult for the winner, Jano Vidar. And just a few days later, on July the 30th, he was caught in a surprise doping control, so you can see that doping does not respect any boundaries of age or categories. Even so, the guy still had the balls to go to Romania to win the Turul Romanei, with stunning exhibitions from himself and his own team. It's a race that today, the victory still officially belongs to him. We can only hope that he'll lose it soon, because it happened after he had tested positive for doping, a type of doping as archaic as any used in competitions. How can it be possible that Astana continues with doped cyclists, continues to even have a World Tour license, and how is it that Selfie-Lepation allows all this? Make sure you follow this video to the end to find out, and also you can follow us on our personal Twitter, @UncleCycling. That way you'll stay on top of this and other news before anyone else. And now, let's analyse the figures behind this scandal. It's hard to believe that Vinokourov still owns a historic team like Astana, and that he's been able to sell his product to some affluent Chinese corporations or concerns who are going to pay real numbers of millions to Cavendish and other stars who've already signed with the team, like the very dangerous Tuscan idol Alberto Bettiol. He even made his debut with them just a few weeks ago in a strange move during the season. Or there's the doped-up, sanctioned with strange coronary problems, Diego Ulissi. Now, Vino himself, a cyclist doped to the eyebrows since his explosion in the ranks of Casino in 1998, all the way to his retirement, buying gold medals in London 2012. But we also have to look at the team itself, which started life collecting the doped corpses of the Once setup. And now we see all these aforementioned cases, and in between, there were notorious figures, people like Lance, or Contatrol, or Iglinski, and all those relations with shady characters of the past, like Michele Ferrari, or Vicente Beldevicedo. It seems to be that Astana survives because it's a very important team in the expansion of Asian cycling, which is one of the cornerstones of the master plan of Selfie-Lepation with all his economic interests in China. But it's also because Vinokourov must know many things that have happened in cycling over the last 30 years, and so no one has even dared to challenge his position in the Astana team. Indeed, the UCI has allowed him to be world champion in the Gran Fondo endurance discipline, the category with the most confirmed doping cases in the last decade. Okay, we know that he's bought races, and we also know that his team was on its last legs financially before the arrival of the Chinese. But why is this doped Kazakh allowed so much wriggle room? It looks negligent, doesn't it? Now, another very important factor was the hiring of the doctor who was caught with EPO during the 1998 Tour de France while in the ranks of the TVM team, Andrei Mikhailov. He was also part of the Lotto team of the dangerous masseur Geert Tiberin and Rick Verbrucher when they fled from a hotel in Sanremo during the police raids of the 2001 Giro d'Italia. He's also been associated with other hilarious teams like Ruhano's Unibet or Katusha. And that's where he coincided with Michele Ferrari and multi-dopers like Alexander Kolobnev, Leif Hoster, Luca Paolini or Denis Menshov. This Russian doctor has been with Astana since 2017, and as you can see, doping cases have continued to stain the team, staining them via very rudimentary methods of doping too. The Mircera EPO, with which Dostiyev was caught just a month and a half ago, is essentially the same substance with which Vinokourov himself doped almost 20 years ago. There seems to be no problem, at least financially, keeping shady characters like Mikhailov in a team. The same team that had no problem using Michele Ferrari to work with Nibali, or the Dane, because you know there's always a Dane, Jakob Fuglsang. The same team that had no problem hiring Vicente Belda's son as a masseur to give Coconut Oil Lopez his dose of menotropin at the 2022 Giro d'Italia. Oh, but fortunately, thank goodness, it's not all bad news at Astana. If you notice, the Kazakh team had relied on Colombian pedalists, represented by Vicente Belda Vicedo, to be part of the team. Men such as Coconut Oil Lopez or Harold Tejada. Now, the latter rider had also been discovered in the Ilex operation as a client of Dr. Marcos Minar. He prescribed him thiotacid, a non-prohibited substance, and therefore one free of the shadow of doping, which is why Tejada is still in the team. However, when Tejada observed that Lopez had doped thanks to Belda's contacts with Minar, we know from the cyclist environment that he quickly distanced himself from these two characters, eliminating them from his life. In other words, Harold Tejada broke, in 2024, any link with elements related to doping. People who had taken him to Europe, people with whom he had developed deep-rooted ties, but he was brave. And that has been the main reason why he has been renewed by the Astana team. In fact, we've seen him in the recent Vuelta 2024. He finished in 18th position, with a quite credible performance, suffering in the mountains and trying to find other ways through breakaways to try to get a stage win. This is the way that the Astana team has to go, the way of Tejada. Not the way of Belda and Lopez and Mikhailov and Dostiyev. But the problem, friends, is that they may have realised just a little too late that the way forward is clean sport. And the possible renewal of Cavendish's contract, no matter how much money he makes, well, it may not be the best option for a forward-looking outfit. Oh well, while you're here, take a look at that video on the screen there. Yes, you will love it.